Welcome to Transformers, the podcast about how business people and policymakers are creating a sustainable future. I'm your host, Kai Embren. In today's program, I have three guests, Augustin Guilisasti, Caroline Steton, and Will Jansen. They are all working in the company Human Forest. Human Forest is a carbon-negative e-bike and e-moped sharing company based in London, in my neighborhood, Southwork. Augustin is a CEO and has spent his entire working life in the field of mobility. With 10 years of experience from the company Cabify, a mobility company based in Spain and Latin America, he founded Human Forest 3 years ago. Caroline Steton is the head of growth and co-founder of Human Forest. Caroline joined Human Forest from Finsbury. Caroline Steton is the head of growth and co-founder of Human Forest. Caroline joined Human Forest from Finsbury, where she spent 10 years advising the UK's largest companies on their public affairs and public relations strategies. And prior to that, Caroline was a commercial lawyer. Will Jansen is head of operations. Will joined Human Forest in 2021 from Zipcar, where he was the head of operation for 3 years. As a part of that role, Will was responsible for Zipcar's UK 4 cities in London, Bristol, Oxford and Cambridge. The company employs today 65 people and have 1,500 bikes and 200 mopeds. Welcome, Augustin, Caroline, and Will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you for this invitation. Super happy to be here.
Great. Well, let's look into the city of London. And the mayor of London has set the ambition to be a zero carbon city by 2030. It means 27% reduction in cars kilometers by 2030. At the same time, fossil fuel cars and vans sales will end by 2030. It seems to be a good target and position for a startup company that offer negative emission services. So what do you say about the situation with to be in London and introduce this type of company? How is that feeling?
Well, first of all, I think in context, to be honest, I didn't want to start a company in London. I was studying here in London, and when I was studying here, I saw a huge opportunity in micromobility. But going back to my background, I have been working in this industry for a while, for almost, as you said, more than 10 years. I started in Cabify. And when I was at Cabify, we achieved two big goals at the company. One was positive EBITDA, that is good as a business. And the second one, and it is related to the climate crisis, it is that we were the first company to offset the carbon footprint. So I did a trip to the Amazonas when I was here in London studying. And after that trip where Cabify offset all the carbon footprint, I realized that there was a huge opportunity in micromobility, but combined with sustainability. So that's how we create this concept about human forest, that behind the name, same as in a forest, trees capture the CO2. In human forest, people using our truly green and free e-bikes, we avoid emitting CO2. So we are in the same path of reducing the amount of CO2 of the planet. So the idea started with that focus, to try to change a little bit how city moves. And yeah, of course, was something out of my head. And then I really believe that this can have a huge impact. And that's how I met also Caroline, and she helped me a little bit here with all the councils, and that's how we started our relation.
And Caroline and Will, how do you feel when you look into the problem a big city like London has?
Huge opportunity in London. 5 million trips could be cycled a day in under 20 minutes. So our role at Human Forest and what we're really trying to achieve is to break down the barriers to cycling and help people make that modal shift and get out of the car. So what we've done is create a business model that's affordable and accessible. So we do 10 minutes free every day and allow people to earn more free minutes through our digital marketing platform and the partners that we work with. And alongside that, we also have a loyalty program. So what we're really trying to do here is make it as easy as possible for people to get out of their cars and either use us for trips from A to B, or in outer London, use us to transport themselves from home to the train. So there's a huge opportunity for everybody, and we want to work with these communities, all aspects of London to get them into the scheme.
There is just such a big opportunity with cycling itself. I've been an avid cyclist for a number of years, and I'm definitely seeing the sort of revolution taking place in London as a city. There's a lot more cyclists about, and I think there's other aspects of it that, you know, obviously it's great for helping with congestion, with pollution, but also we've seen huge benefits to things like people's mental health. I mean, taking a bicycle as opposed to just the monotony of getting on a tube or a train or in a car is a really positive thing. It's you know, enjoyable, gets you into a different headspace as you're cycling into work or home from work.
You want to use an e-bike, it is very expensive. So for example, a journey of 20 minutes, it will cost you above £3.5 in normal operator. So what we are trying to do with Human Forest is to try to democratize this and give the opportunity to people for ride for free. So that's how we think we can help to this problem. And not only that, what is behind Human Forest, it is the whole concept of sustainability. So every mile that you ride in a Human Forest, you are saving the same amount of one tree capture CO2 in a day. So people is understanding, they are understanding that they can be part of the solution. So I think that's a big change since before us and after we're trying to push this concept. I mean, when I was here in London, like 3 years ago, it was only at that moment Santander bikes, and they're not electric. So I was a little bit confused about London, because London is a huge city, even bigger than Paris in number of inhabitants, and London has like the half of sharing vehicles that Paris. So it was a big gap, and we decided to take the opportunity to surf the wave, but in a sustainable way.
Where did you grow up?
In Chile. I'm from Chile. I love wine.
and then get into London. And but before you went to London, you were working in a company called Cabify. Was there when you got ideas to set up a company, or was it when you went to London?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I was working at Cabify, and I decided to do a stop, and I came to London to study a master in data science, as I mentioned before. And when I was here, and after a trip that I did to the Amazonas, I did this idea about Human Forest to mix micromobility plus sustainability plus technology, because behind our business model, that you know that is quite unique, because we are giving free and sustainable mobility. We have developed this digital marketing platform that allow us to achieve this dream and have partners on board and sponsor this 10-3.
Sustainability, it means both social, environmental, and finance sustainability. And for a startup, it's a very important part to have investors with you. And how did Human Forest got this needed investment?
We were very lucky because Augustine obviously has an incredible track record in micromobility. So there are a lot of people that wanted to be part of the story and get on board. So actually, so far, raising money hasn't really been a problem for us.
You have 1,500, around 1,500 bikes on the streets in London. And where do you manufacture them?
So we get our bikes from a company called Okai, but I'm going to hand to Will because that's really his domain.
Yeah, sure. So the actual manufacturing happens in China. But then so that's where the bikes are actually made. The large amount of the assembly though is then done in Europe, and then the bikes are brought here to our warehouse where their sort of final tweaks are made before we deploy them onto the streets. So that aspect of the obviously supply chain is one bit which falls into the Scope 3 area, and is the part that for a lot of companies is quite a challenge still, obviously, with that sort of remaining competitive, but and is a part that we obviously offset.
Caroline, when we talk about measure of carbon negative, and we know that measurement matters, and how do you calculate and measure to be a negative carbon company?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, of course. So it's a good question. So Scope 1 and 2 emissions, we don't have any Scope 1 and 2 emissions because everything is done with electric vehicles which use certified renewable energy. So that means that we've got a clear bill there. And then in Scope 3 emissions, we can measure those because it's all around logistics. So when we're bringing bikes, for example, from Poland to the UK, we know how much CO2 we need to offset. And we do that with a company who help us.
And how much of carbon do you reduce with your 1,500 bikes?
So for each mile that you ride in a human forest, it is as I mentioned before, the same amount of a tree capturing a day, and that's 70 grams of CO2 for each mile. So it is quite, I would say, cool what we have created internally, because we have a tool that is called the Tree Coins, and it's a gamification tool inside the app that every time that you do a ride, we can give you 3 coins. And with that 3 coins, you can exchange, users for more extra minutes, or even for buying things related to our partner. So we are creating like an ecosystem. We are not only giving free mobility to everyone, we are also helping the planet and reward them for doing this. So it is, I would say, like a huge impact related to sustainability, not only because we are avoiding, it is also because we are let the people know that they can be part of this solution with this gamification.
And all of those users combined, so redeeming via the Tree Coin program, have saved 150 tons of CO2 from being emitted into London's air since we launched, and 250,000 car trips.
So do you communicate with your customers who rent the bikes so they know that they are a part of a reduction?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you do that?
Absolutely. As Augustine said, the Tree Coin program and how they accrue Tree Coins is framed around the amount of CO2 that they've avoided. And the whole idea is that to really show them the power behind a collective change of mode.
So we ask our users what they think about Human Forest, and in the same level of importance, they say that price is the first, but at the same level, sustainability is. So we are really doing an impact, and they are understanding the concept behind of reforesting cities. So we are very happy that we have a very loyal base use, and also they are helping us to grow this forest.
Can you give a good answer on the question of human forest? You feel that you maybe plant trees, but you don't plant trees.
No, we are taking the problem from the roots. So how it works, trees grow and they capture the CO2. What we are trying to do, it is the opposite. It is avoiding that people emit CO2 because choosing our bikes. So they will, if they go every day in a car, they will emit CO2. But if they choose a human forest, they will avoid emitting that CO2. So we are attacking the problem from the roots.
So in essence, all the riders become a human forest. Does that make sense?
Sometimes it's a question also where you have your baselines. So some people maybe didn't drive a car before. They already were.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, because the reason we've calculated it based on 25% of our users taking a car instead of Human Forest. But I think what you touch on there is interesting, because we are used by people who are avid cyclists, and they might not want to leave their bike somewhere at night time, so they choose just to take a Human Forest one day. We also are made up of commuters. That's a huge group for us. We're also made out of people who want to grab a bike with a friend and go quite a long distance at the weekend with the power of the e-bike. And then we've also just got, a whole lot of tourists who come into the city and then want to try the bike for the first time. And for them, it's a little bit more novel. But we do have a whole range of use cases and a whole range of different users.
Do you have different types of bikes that, many parents with children, you have different needs of types of bikes?
So currently we just offer one type of bike, which is just the e-bike from Okai. However, we are beginning to look at other kind of offers. So we are looking at kind of a different model mix, which is good to kind of offer customers a different experience potentially with different styles of bicycle, I guess. There's also the sort of cargo bike, which is something that we've seen there be demand for, and it's been something that people have asked for. So in the delivery space, there's quite a lot of demand for people cycling in London to try and deliver packages or food or lots of different things. So that's an area that we've looked at around the sort of modifications of the bike to cater to that. In terms of like more specific use cases, at this stage, at this sort of earlier stage, it's not something that we're offering now, but it is certainly something that as we grow, we'd like to definitely consider to really improve that accessibility to different types of user.
We haven't talked about the stakeholders around you. That do you work with other partners to engage other groups of people or companies in the City of London?
Yeah, we do, and that takes lots of different shapes and forms. But we have our digital marketing platform, so we sell impressions via our app. Then we also sell corporate packages, so companies can provide their employees with minutes to ride on Human Forest. And then we also have the marketplace, as we mentioned earlier, where people can redeem products and services of our partners using their tree coins.
Can you give any example of partners that you work with?
Yes, of course. We've got a whole range of partners, anything from quite established companies like Nutmeg, the Financial Times, Bloomberg, UPS is a recent one, and then down to more startups. So for example, Oddbox or Wheat and Wild. So we really like to keep it interesting for our users. But at the end of the day, the thing that they have in common is that we all share a sustainable mission.
Do you have any collaboration with the mayor or mayor's office?
The Mayor of London?
Yes.
I mean, we have a great working relationship with TfL, but we love, and fully support what the mayor's doing through his transport strategy, and his, very ambitious targets of getting people on cycling. But in terms of, we're a private company in the end, so,
And campaigning? Yes,
of course. Yeah, we do. We love this kind of work. So we've done a little bit with Choked Up. Don't know if you've come across that, but there are three, really inspiring girls who have been doing a lot of work around air pollution in London. We've also done a bit of work with London Vision about how we can ensure that our service doesn't compromise the needs of others in London. We're also doing a bit with other charities that focus on groups that are perhaps less likely to be early adopters of e-bikes. So it's all about, getting the uptake from every part of the community, and that's why we really enjoy these partnerships.
You as a company has also some social targets of, and you would like to be a sustainable and environmental friendly company that deliver values. And for that reason, I think you are on the pathway to be a B Corp company. Can you explain a little bit about that ambition? Why a B Corp and what is B Corp?
B Corps or B Corporations is the longer name, are companies verified by B Lab to meet high standards of social and environmental performance, transparency and accountability. So that's kind of the formal definition. And B Corps are really committed to positively impacting all stakeholders. So they're not just profit motivated by profit. So it's about workers, communities, customers, and crucially the planet. So to achieve B Corp status does take, a really long time, and we've been working alongside the B Corp analysts for coming up a year now. And the kind of questions that they ask are about getting really deep into kind of the fabric of your company, around your mission, your corporate governance, your ethics, transparency, even career development of those that work at the company. There's up to 300 questions that you need to answer, and then provide supporting material to verify the answers to those questions in order to get certified. So it's a long process, but one that we've really enjoyed, and we've made tweaks here and there to what we've been doing to really lift those standards and ensure that we're impacting all our stakeholders as positively.
So when will Human Forest be a B Corp company verified?
Yeah, we'll definitely.
When?
I'm going to say touch wood by the end of the year, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're also applying for another certification that is called BERRA. That is a little bit harder in terms of the steps that you need. And we are going to be the first mobility company to have that accreditation. So also we're in the last steps. We have been working for more than 2 years. And at the end, behind all those certifications, it is just to say that everything that we do is true. Because to be honest, in this industry and in general, there is a lot of greenwash that we don't want to be close to that. It's the opposite. Yeah.
And Will, where do we find the Human Forest in the future? How many cities are you looking at?
I might let Augustin answer the sort of number of cities, but I mean in the future. But in the near term, our focus is still very much like on London and making sure that we have a good foothold here. We really fine-tune our operations and kind of set almost the best practice for how a micromobility company should operate. And if all our kind of process and our offering generally is really cemented in London, it will be easier for us to responsibly then launch in other cities and hopefully succeed there. But yeah, also, if you want to.
So our goal, it is to reforest not only London, more cities, and we are already working on a plan to achieve that.
Can you give us any insight in the plans? Where are you looking at?
Yeah, of course. We are working we're close
to Europe.
Yeah, and
all across Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, and also because our connection in South America, we have a very good connection there. But to give you we only like to go to cities where we believe that we can achieve our plan. And our plan means that we really want to be a sustainable company, and that means that we can get profits and positive EBITDA. So we need at least to deploy 1,500 bikes in each city, because otherwise, because how it works, our business model, it is how we need to get.
Great. Well, it has been a very nice time to have a chat with you about Human Forest, and I think I would like to try to come back home, and I'm going to see if I find some Human Forest bikes on the streets outside here. Hopefully one of the 1,500. And thank you for your storytelling today from Neighbourhood in Southwork. in London. And thank you for your talk today.
Thank you very much. It's
Thanks.
been lovely to chat.
Yeah, thanks to you, and thanks for helping us to reforest the world.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thanks.
Julian.
I'm Kai Embren. Follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn, where I will be announcing the future guests to this podcast. And you can expect about 2 programs a month. And each guest has a unique story of making business and society sustainable. So find out more. Visit my homepage, kaiembren.org. Thank you for listening.